I wonder if this will blow your mind like it did mine. And I'll give you the short answer. When does 1 + 1 not equal 2? And it's at the moment of conception. So we've got the egg, we've got the sperm, and the moment that they meet, they are one before mutating and mutating and mutating. Isn't that mental? And actually, it's in a weird series of, well, I'll just tell you, it was one day I was awoken, and I swiftly had to get up and write. And what I needed to get out was the Fibonacci sequence, which came into my knowing, like on a deeper level, on a sort of sacred geometry level, a few years prior. So this is all, this morning in particular was, I don't know, I was still in Bratislava, so a few years back, and awoken, needed to write this, the sequence all down, and I started, and I wasn't sure it was the Fibonacci. I was going by memory of what I had heard before, read, whatever, and sure enough, it was, and you know, I started out 0 + 1 = 1, and so you take the middle number plus the answer, and which gives you the next number. So 0 + 1 = 1, and then 1 + 1 = 2, and then 1 + 2 = 3, and 2 + 3 = 5, and so on. 3 + 5 is 8, and blah 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 blah. And that series, or that sequence of numbers, when it's mapped out, is the Fibonacci spiral, the spiral which we see, the pattern which we see over and over and over again in nature, all around us. It's mind-blowing that these seemingly simple numbers give us the projection, the visual that we see in this world. So anyways, it was through writing that down that it came to me that actually 0 mattered. Because, you know, having done numerology for a few years now, and, you know, you add up all the numbers in a birthday, for example, and, you know, it's not like, you know, if someone's born on the 10th of August, you add up 10 + 8, it's 1 + 8, and the 0 gets taken out, so you reduce, and it's all single digits, unless it's a master number, different story, whatever. Numerology, different conversation, or maybe this conversation, we'll see. Anyways, so on that day in particular, 0 mattered, and 0, because I always just crossed it out. You know, actually today is what, the 2nd of November 2021. So normally I would write it down 211221, and then add up all the numbers, right? Which is what, 2, 1, 1, 4, 5, and then, yeah, so it's a 1 day. It's all those numbers add up to, anyways, never mind. That's, I do that all the time with numbers. Actually, we will talk about numerology, because it's really helped me with students. Anyways, in particular, we're talking about 0 right now. And what that meant that morning in that mind-blowing epiphany. And what it meant to me was that 0, actually, 0 represents God. And first, so it's 0 + 1, which gives us 1. So it's God plus the 1, right? Yourself. That is a complete whole, complete, wholly complete. I don't know if that excites you as much as it excites me, but it was really profound. It still is profound. You know, and that's the essence of everything that I talk about. It's, you know, going back to self, becoming whole before you can, you know, before you can really properly, because we can do anything, you know, we can go and learn and do anything, and but are we our best? We are, you know, we say that, oh, I'm doing my best and all that, but we're way better than we know. It's one of the things that I say to my students when I first walk in to a classroom, you know. There's a few things. And actually, just going back to the 0 + 1, I mean, for me, God, and if you don't like that, you know, I understand that the whole word and idea, the concept is misconstrued and hijacked, really, and, you know, dragged through the mud. I love God. I do, you know, as space, just as space. We are going to go all over the place in this conversation, and I'm happy to do that. And actually, just saying that very word, someone said to me the other day, you know, he claims that he's dumb as a fence post. And I see absolute genius. You know, the stories that come out of him are mind-blowing. Like, if he wrote a book, the whole world would buy it. He's just incredible. But he says he's as dumb as a fence post. And you know, he was sort of illiterate when he came out. Like, he had to go back to school to learn how to read properly and write, all that kind of, didn't know what an essay was when he finished high school, that sort of thing. Like, he struggled through the education system, let's put it that way. But he told me that he had his IQ measured, and that he was sort of off the charts, and it was due to spatial awareness. Now, so he told me this one day, perhaps it was one day last week, and I was like, and I walked away from that, and I said, yeah, no doubt, absolute genius, you know. And for me, like, his intelligence, his genius comes from not taking no as an answer, or not, you know, just he's kind of this, he's this kind of guy, like, I can do anything, absolutely anything, you know. It doesn't matter if I haven't done it before, I'll learn it, I'll do it, you know. And I love that. I might be similar. And actually, and again, you know, not, I'll just tell you, there's my dear neighbor who I have conversations with, and a couple of times he's said to me, you know, have you had your IQ measured? I'm like, no, who cares? Because I really don't care. But and the only reason why I'm saying this is because I find that the other guy and I are similar in that, you know, no is not good enough, and I do feel I can do and will learn anything, to not to be smart, but just because I'm interested, I'm curious, and that's to me what spatial awareness means. It's sort of street smarts, common sense, not common sense, but whatever. Anyways, so, oh, this is brilliant. So, you know, this guy says to me, dumb as a fence post, but, you know, IQ super high because of spatial awareness. And I walk away, and you know, I chewed that for a few days. I was like, did he actually say spatial awareness? Like, you know, did I catch that correctly? And I had to ask him about a week later, and that's sure enough, that's what he said. Because for me, profound epiphanies going off, because, you know what, in conversation with the Earth Mothers, you know, we talk about frequency, vibration, and God, and you know, our sort of, what are we doing, and you know, we talk about all kinds of things, and you know, the insane epiphany about space, and so I keep bringing spatial awareness, high IQ, whatever. But I said to a friend the other day, because he was another man I just met, and we're having a conversation about like genius, and you know, we just met, like, and we chatted on the phone. We chatted on the phone, and then it was like, okay, we need to get together, because there's, you know, there's insane levels of like, we've got to talk. I love, you know me, I love these conversations. So any opportunity I get, when I find someone that really resonates and we can throw it back and forth, I love. So anyways, you know, sort of no time wasted, and you know, we're sat in the car, and I say, you know, his radio's on, I think, anyways, I say, you know, so you've got your radio, where is the sound coming from? How is that even possible? And he's like, well, it's frequency. And I said, yeah, and what's that? Where is that? And he says, well, it's right here, right? And that, love this. It's all right here. Let's just cut it short and say, you know, everything that you listen to, that you see, everything is right here in space. It's right here. So, you know, when this guy says high IQ with, you know, because of spatial awareness, but otherwise, you know, no, dumb as a fence post, you know, what that then, I mean, it all just makes sense. Of course, all the old, like, there's a beautiful story about an inventor and everything, but an inventor, let's call him that. Charles Prometheus, I think it's Prometheus, that was his nickname, because he was quite deformed. Steinmetz, who, this is beautiful. The guy invented, or duplicated lightning. Look it up. He's brilliant. And Charles Steinmetz, for his genius, is called into, I think it's Volkswagen. I can't remember. I believe it's a car plant. It's something massive, something industrial. There's a problem which is costing the plant, the company, you can imagine, let's just say millions, you know, and I don't know when this is, I can't remember, you know, if it's, I can't remember if it's early 1900s or what, I can't remember. Anyways, I'll link it for you, the story. He's called in for his genius. He goes in. And if memory serves me correct, it's something along these lines. You know me, I just kind of, I am winging it. He goes in, and I believe he sits with that machine, that whatever the source of the issue, overnight by himself in the dark, something like that. And for maybe a couple of days. And or a couple of nights, I'm not sure. And then I think he asks for a ladder or something, and he climbs up the ladder to the top, and he knocks on this cylinder or whatever it is, this massive thing, and finds the source of the problem. And now, and that's it. Tells him what it is, whatever. So he then, he charges Daimler, and he gets a message back, and he was like, and let's say it was $1,000, because the person, the management, whatever, is like Why are you charging us $1,000 for knocking? You didn't do it. Do you know what I mean? You just knocked on this thing. He actually didn't do anything else. He just knocked on the machinery. And he says, $1 for knocking, $999 for knowing where to knock. It was in that silence. It was in that absolute silence. He just sat there and did nothing but sit in space, sit in quiet, and receive. Just receive. And it reminds me, it's been a long while since I read, and actually didn't complete, Yogananda's autobiography of a yogi. And he says the same thing, you know, about, within that, if I'm not mistaken, there is a story of when he goes to America, and you know, of being in the vicinity with great people who do just that. They'll go sit in silence until the answer comes to them. And I believe also it's in Napoleon Hill's book, Think and Grow Rich, which is insanely profound. That book is profound, you know. And when I first heard of it, or you know, saw the cover, I was like, why? Like, that's cheesy, you know. I don't really care about growing rich, but it's so much about, like, it's so much not about the what is it called, the hustle and grind, the all that kind of stuff. It's so much about, like, getting yourself straight, the 0 plus the 1. That's what it's about. So this is also exciting for me, incredibly exciting. There's so many examples of inventors who just, they weren't trying, but what they just knew, they just had this knowing that what and a vision that that what they had going on was finished. It's just done, and we've gotten so far away from that. That's why, you know, for me, it's so imperative that we get bored, that we sit in silence, that you know, that we put our stuff away, we get out of the way, really, so that we can actually receive from the space around us, where everything is, right? So, So now everything's in space. Oh man, this is so exciting. All potentials are in space. And it's so beautiful because we're not talking about outer space, inner space. It's all the same. It's all the same. We go from space, we'll go back to numbers actually. And I'll talk about my students. So, you know, I walk into classrooms, and this is generally how I approach people. I've said so many times, I'm a lover, not a fighter, and I love everybody. I really do. And I think I'm kind of like that child that just hugs people. You know, it does a world of good, a world of good. Anyways, yeah, so yeah, I walk into classrooms, and what I generally say is to my students, there's nothing that you can do or say that will change what I think about you. And already I love you. I think you're amazing. And in fact, you're far more amazing than you know. You're far smarter than you know. You're more everything good than you know. Usually eyes are wide, and you know, they're excited. They don't hear that often. I remember actually even being on the old bridge in Slovakia, Stary Most, before it was redone. No, it was actually after, when the trams were going through. And I was just sat on a bench, or stood, looking over the water, the Danube, and you know, drinking a green smoothie. All these students come up, they all sit down on the bench, and they're all like, you know, I think maybe they're 15 or 16. And I just turned around and told them everything I just told you. Maybe 5 of them, a couple of girls, a few boys. I just told them that. I walked away. You're amazing. You're just amazing. Because you are. Because you're here. No one tells. Anyways. One of the girls was like in tears. Yeah, I just picked up and walked away. Have a nice day. I think I want to finish with, and I might have said this in another video, but I love this, what I'm about to relate. You didn't have to conceive yourself. Me neither. Actually, we will carry on. We will carry on. And we'll bring the relevance of numbers into this play. And astrology. Everything's relevant until it's not, actually, is what I wish to say. All those sorts of things. Everything gets hijacked, actually. Numerology, horoscopes, like that, the horoscope that you see in the you know, daily newspaper, that sort of thing. Not quite it's just so watered down, is what I want to say. And so actually going back to numbers, where we started, and students, it was, I picked up numerology a few years back, and I was well into it, and used it all the time. And it's kind of like when I was doing EFT, emotional freedom technique, that's all the tapping stuff, and you know, teaching that until I was like, okay, I'm over that now. And because what happens is when you as you know, you learn things, and you know, you carry on. You can either stay with something, or I see these things as tools, and we can either keep the tool in our tool belt as we ascend on the ladder of consciousness and illumination, really. And as we hold on to those tools, our belt gets heavier and heavier. And so that limits us from going higher. And isn't it better anyways to take that tool off your belt and hand it to the person behind you so that they can use it and climb up? Lighten your load, lighten, as you raise higher and higher. So anyways, so yeah, EFT was that. It was a healing modality that I used for a little while, and let it go. Don't do it at all, because it helped me develop a connection, a communication with my body, with my emotions, and now I've you know, you do different things, right? And I think that's important to say. always be open to the next step, really. And don't allow yourself to get bogged down, and share. So anyways, yeah, so there was the emotional freedom technique, and then I can't remember. But anyways, numerology. So I picked that up, and I was doing it like for everybody. And still now, you know, I'll ask someone, you know, when's your birthday? I don't care about age, I really don't. But just, it's really about the numbers. Because what happens, and what happened often in school is, it was incredible. I've got two examples. I show up in England, and from Bratislava, and in my homeroom class, and it wasn't, it's never been planned. It's not like I'm gonna go in and ask the kids their birthdays, you know. It was never like that. And it was actually then that experience that that led me to, it was never a conscious thing, actually. It's the way that a student was acting that caused me to then ask them. So in this particular example, yeah, there was a kid who, I think now we're talking, he's about 14, 15 years old. He's one of the youngest. So some of them are graduating, some of them are, you know, 16, 17, 18, between 14 and 18 in any case. So this kid shows up in my class. So it's a 2-week sort of summer stint, full on. We go to London. We have field trips. We go here and there to amusement parks, whatever. All in the name of, you know, them practicing their English. Austrian students, for the most part. It's a whole Austrian company. And this kid shows up, and I didn't know anything about him. Or no, that's not true. I was told that he was going to show up into my class, and he was sort of the troublemaker, and I was like, okay, yeah, bring it on. Must have had great experiences with troublemakers. I love them. Anyways, he shows up, and he's this beautiful kid, like really considerate and kind and courteous. You know, he's not the troublemaker that he's portrayed as being. So actually it was him that initiated, like, when's your birthday? So we did the math, I did the math, and he gives me, I've got the number in my head, and I'm like, oh man, no wonder, you know? And he's just looking at me like, what? And this is, you know, it's not the first time that over the course of the days, I got to know him a lot better. And initially what had happened was that the first day we had a fire alarm test so that everybody knew. I mean, we were in Kent at a place called Benenden. I'd never been there before. We had to go through the whole drills and all that kind of stuff, whatever. Anyways, this kid is he's absent. No one knows where he is while this drill is going on, and there's a big kerfuffle about it. Turns out he was sleeping. Didn't hear it. Okay. And I find out later on that his parents were divorcing. Like, it was all happening right then and there. An incredulous amount of stress on this kid. And no one else knew about it. Because no one else asked him. He volunteered that information to me. I didn't press him for it. Just really curious. Like, who are you, man? You know? So, you know, so yeah, he gives me his birthday, and I do the math, and I come up with a number, and I'm like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. And then And then it happens again in the class. It's always a situation that initiated, when's your birthday? And then it's like, oh yeah, totally makes sense. And you know, the kids are like, what the heck is going on? This kid in particular, like another one from a different school, was like, you need to meet my dad. You guys, like, you're so similar. In another situation, it was a kid saying, you need to meet my mom. I think I've talked about that before. Again, a 14-year-old, different school in Austria, who, when I met his mom, was like, it's the first time my kids actually wanted to come to school. I don't consider myself different than you. Just ask questions. Yeah. Just dig a little bit deeper. That's really what I want you to do. It's the whole purpose of this soliloquy. That's the whole purpose of all these videos. Get to know the deeper level. Go into the deeper level. There's a deeper meaning to life than what is, you know? So it's really funny, you know, the kids were like, can you do my birthday? Can you, at Benenden in this my homeroom class? Actually did it with all the classes, and it was brilliant, so brilliant. And it turns out, I mean, and to be honest with you, the number I know best is my own, and I know bits and bobs about others. However, it's funny, in a class of 15, I had six students that had the same number as me. That's big. That's really big, and that all made sense. It all really, really, really made sense. And would you believe that the system of numerology, I didn't even know this, and this is really interesting. All synchronistic, coincidence, but what is coincidence? You know, but a cooperative incident. A cooperative incident with space, with the zero, with, you know. Anyways, there's a kid in a school in La Andertaya. And I ask all the students, I'm like, what's the most favorite thing that you learned last week? Silence. Last month? Silence. In the school year? Silence. Last year? So we go on, right? You get the picture. And then there's one of the girls, genius kid. And she says, gee, I loved learning about the Pythagorean theory. And I thought that was so neat. And I just kept that in the pocket of my mind. In that class, that was brilliant, because we were shoved off in a corner classroom that it looked like it was going to be, you know, the rest of the teachers were like, thank God I didn't get that room. It's only 5 days. So much fun. Because it's close to the gymnasium, where there's and just outside the classroom, it was like their costume area. So first day, I go pick out an old Victorian dress and just throw it on, and I was like, guys, if you want to go and dress up, by all means, go ahead. I don't care what you wear, whatever, and let's change your name as well, and let's just play. These guys are 13, 14. This is the kid who was like, you got to meet my mom. So yeah, and that kid in particular was the only one that was had the same number as me, and I knew it. I knew it immediately when we had a conversation. the first one, and because he was kind of the kid that was bullied by the teacher, kind of the whatever kid. He doesn't pay attention anyways, and smokes weed and all that kind of stuff. And it was when, and I remember why I asked him his birthday, because I noticed him on the first day. I noticed him sort of slumped over in his chair and not paying attention. And I asked him a question, and he didn't know what we were talking about, whatever. And it's not the normal stuff anyway. So he's not even clued into, he's just not there. And so, the other kids are excited, and they're like, she's asking you this, like whatever, come on, get with the program. And he's like, egal, doesn't matter, whatever. And I turn around and say, guys, it's all right, leave him alone, no big deal, right? And he's kind of surprised, like, and then yeah, it was soon after I asked him his birthday, and I left him alone. This is a kid, brilliant kid, absolutely brilliant. And I learned him sort of separately from everyone else. I learned that, like, for example, we didn't have a computer in the room, so we had to go out and, all this sort of equipment, whatever, technology, which I'm sure I could have figured out myself, but I said, can anyone help me with, that stuff? And he's like, I can help. And that's when I got to know him, to know who he was and what he's about. And that's why I was just like, this kid's, brilliant, and he's going to be brilliant. He doesn't know it, I do. Just let him be. So numbers, do say a great deal about us, our constitution. It's not stuff that I hold on to, just like astrology. I don't know about conjunctions and all that kind of stuff. I'm vaguely aware of astrology. I know it's relevant. Look, it's all relevant. They're all tools. Just like, so actually going back to astrology for a second, like, if you and I were, if you're sat in a museum room, right, you're sat on a bench and you're observing the art, you're the only person in there, and I walk in, we don't talk to each other or anything, you're aware of me, and just my being there, though we don't talk and we don't say anything, you have you and me too, there's a feeling, there's indescribable, but just this sense that there's someone else here, whereas that sense is non-existent without me in the room. And so it's like the planets, I'm not talking about horoscopes and the watered down stuff. If you and I affect each other without saying a thing, and the tree outside affects me because also it is alive, animals, everything, why wouldn't planets affect us? And on a kind of great level, being as big as they are, doesn't matter how far they are. Like, I know for me, without question, full moon, the couple days before, I'm up at like 1, ready to go, excited, fine, oh yeah, full moon, okay, yeah, let's just get on with it, so yeah, everything is relevant. Everything, Because again, everything is in space, everything affects us. But that space is so big, and there's so much power to be gained from it for good. When one is centered in their heart. Space, numbers, astrology, sacred geometry, everything's relevant. And you know, over the last months during this global situation, it's been interesting because all of that is relevant, but for me, it's all clearing when I focus on the one. Sorry, when I focus on the zero and me as the one. And so everything just sort of falls away. And that gives me great satisfaction. It's absolute bliss. It's only one thing that really matters. And that's you, baby. It's you. It's you connected with that zero. God. I love to call it love. Einstein knew it. Tesla knew it. So many know it. So, wow, what a big rant. I'm so excited. I hope someone got to the end of this. I am going to end it here and carry on with my next audio recording. So, loads of love to you. I wish you an extraordinary day or night or whatever. And just be well. Just be well. All right? God bless you. Loads of love.